Hey everybody, welcome to Crackback Tuesday, number 139 on the Mana League. I'm John, as always, and we've got a little Dilophosaurus sitting here on Rivals of Ixalan. We're going to crack this open, see what's in it, and see what we would take pack one, pick one if this was a draft. Up first, just like last week, just like every week, Spirewinder, 3 and a blue. It's still a snake, it's still a 2/3, it still has flying, it still has ascend, it still gets +1/+1 if you have the City's Blessing. It's still not a first pick. I'll play them. I'll play multiple copies, but not a first pick. We've got a Rosga Raptor up next, 2 red for a 3/4, and that's it. I don't like this card. I like my 2 reds to be 4/3s, not 3/4s. Maybe 2 green, I'd play a 3/4, but red, a Rosga Raptor just doesn't really fit anywhere, even in the dinosaur decks. This is a very late pick card. If you have to play it, it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's close. Up next is Moment of Triumph, a very good combat trick. Single white mana for an instant. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. You gain 2 life. This blows out so much stuff. Why white has so many single mana +2/+2 combat tricks in this format, I don't know, but it makes combat a nightmare. They're never first picks, though. Up next is a Hardy Veteran, 1 and a green for a 2/2 creature human warrior. As long as it's your turn, it's a 2/4. That's cool, I guess. This attacks a little bit better than a 2/2 would. It blocks just as poorly as a 2/2 does, though. This is a card that you play as a 23rd card if you desperately need a creature. Here's a creature. If you desperately need a 2-drop, here's a 2-drop. But beyond that, you're not really excited, and it's certainly never a first pick. Up next is Vampire Revenant, which I guess is currently our first pick, or maybe the Spirewinder is. 3 and a black for a creature, Vampire Spirit. It's a 3/1 with flying. These are fine. A lot of people are always down on 3/1 flyers for 4. They say it dies to everything, and it does die to basically everything. But you know what it doesn't die to? Blockers on the ground. So I'm always okay with a 3/1 flyer for 4 in black. We've had a bunch of them in the past few years. This is fine. I'll play it basically every time that I'm in black, preferably in black-white vampires, but I'm never first picking it. Up next is Knight of the Stampede. 3 and a green for a creature human knight. It's a 2/4. Dinosaur spells you cast cost 2 less to cast. I hate that phrase. It's so hard to say. Yeah, it's a 2/4 for 4, which is fine. That's normal. That blocks really well. And making your dinosaurs come down potentially a couple of turns early can be really good. These guys are really good in the dinosaur deck, but you do need those payoffs. If you're making your raptor companions cost 2 less, which you can only make them cost 1 less, you're not really getting there. So you need the big stuff for the knights to go off, but when they do, it feels pretty darn good. Up next is Shatter. Shatter's pretty bad. 1 and a red for an instant, destroy target artifact. There's just no artifacts that you ever want to really ever main deck this in, and even siding it in, I don't know, because most of the artifacts flip into something else. And that's not good. It gives you such a limited, narrow window of time to have that Shatter before it becomes a legendary land instead. Maybe I would side this in against Captain's Hook. Captain's Hook is kind of obnoxious, but that's about it. Beyond Captain's Hook, I don't think you ever play Shatter. Tillinolly's Crown is up next. 1 and a red for an enchantment aura. Enchant creature. When Tillinolly's Crown enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to enchanted creature. Enchanted creature gets +3/+0 and has trample. I enjoy Tillinolly's Crown. I enjoy it on flyers. I enjoy it on unblockable dudes or menacers or trample. Or it actually gives trample. What am I talking about? Yeah, Tillinolly's Crown has been very good to me. Very, very good to me. Nowhere near first pick, unfortunately, but I'm pretty happy to have these unless I'm playing mono X1s. And I have used it as removal, and it did feel pretty good. Up next is Deadeye Righauler. Deadeye Righauler is 3 and a blue for a creature human pirate. It's a 3/2. When it enters the battlefield, if you attacked, you get to bounce a creature. That's fine. As I said last week, main phase post-combat bounce has been totally okay in this format because there's a lot of auras and counters and stuff like that that you can knock off creatures. And just getting that tempo play is also often just good enough. So Deadeye Righauler, pretty solid. Not a first pick. So our last common, also not a first pick, is just a Strider Harness. 3 generic mana for an artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has haste. Equipped for 1 generic mana. So without a first pick in the commons, I guess we're gonna throw this Deadeye Righauler into the frame just in case. Just as some insurance. But does Blazing Hope save us? No, because Blazing Hope is awful. A single white mana for an instant. Exile target creature with power greater than or equal to your life total. which means you're not casting this until you are basically dead, facing down a threat that if it hits you will kill you, which is not a place to be. This card is awful. The chances where you actually get to cast this and it continues to allow you to survive are really narrow because you're already basically dead when you play this. So this card's awful. Never pick it. Never, ever play it. We do get a first pickable card, Baffling End, 1 and a white for an enchantment. When Baffling End enters the battlefield, exile target creature an opponent controls with converted mana cost 3 or less. When Baffling End leaves the battlefield, target opponent creates a 3/3 green dinosaur creature with trample. I don't think I've ever seen somebody actually make this leave the battlefield, so it is just kill a creature with CMC 3 or less. So this is fine. This kills a lot of things. Doesn't kill the biggest threats, but it keeps the board clean early. And for 2 mana, there's not much more you can ask for. So Baffling End, very solid first pick. I'm pretty happy with it. Our final uncommon is Aquatic Incursion. Aquatic Incursion is 3 and a blue for an enchantment. When Aquatic Incursion enters the battlefield, create 2 1/1 blue merfolk creature tokens with hexproof. Pay 3 and a blue. Target merfolk can't be blocked this turn. This is okay, but it is a lot of mana to pay for it. 4 mana to get 2 1/1s is not something I'm excited about. And then having to pay 4 more to make the merfolk unblockable, I'm just not a big fan of Aquatic Incursion. If you are deep into merfolk matters, and that's basically Deeproot Waters and Deeproot Waters, I guess maybe Deeproot Elite or something, then maybe this gets a little bit better. But I haven't been really sold on Aquatic Incursion. I just think it's too much mana for what the Merfolk decks want. They want to cap it at 3 usually. So Aquatic Incursion I don't think is ever a first pick. Our rare is Path of Metal. Path of Metal's red-white for a legendary enchantment. When Path of Metal enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to each creature that doesn't have First Strike, Double Strike, Vigilance, or Haste. Whenever you attack with at least 2 creatures that have First Strike, Double Strike, Vigilance, or Haste, transform Path of Metal. It becomes Metzali, Tower of Triumph. You can tap it for any mana. You can pay 1 and a red and tap it, and it deals 2 damage to each opponent. You can pay 2 and a white and tap it to choose a creature at random that attacked this turn and destroy that creature. This is an amazing card. Absolutely amazing, super powerful, really hard to beat. This is not a good card. It's really hard, even first picking, and I tried to get enough First Strike, Double Strike, Vigilance, or Haste to actually consistently flip this card. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work. I have first picked this card, and I don't think I ever would again. It's cute. It's fun. It doesn't get there enough. If I could always have this card, boy, would that ever be a first pick. But it's not always that card, so it is not a first pick for me. Not anymore. Not since I have already tried it once. So for me, this is just an easy Baffling End. I'm not taking a Rig Hauler over it. Let me know what you would have taken. Would you have taken this Baffling End? Would you have tried the Path of Metal? Have you tried it yet? I would recommend against it, even though it's kind of fun, but boy, is it hard to get the deck that actually consistently flips it. Let me know in the comments down below. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, you can find me on Twitter at The Mana Leak. That's L-E-E-K, like the vegetable, not the card. You can also find me at Facebook.com/TheManaLeak, Twitch.tv/TheManaLeak, and Patreon.com/TheManaLeak. If you like the content, click that thumbs up button, click subscribe if you want to see more, and if you do have questions, comments, or suggestions, let me know. Otherwise, see y'all next time.